Hello everyone, Patricia here. Now you'd think that considering I'm starting a booktube channel up here, hopefully it's going to keep going, that I would have noticed that there would be like some kind of tags or challenges, something that a new booktuber could do. And I did come across one, but somehow I completely forgot about it when I started, pre-filming and started thinking about what I was going to do with this channel. And that is the Booktube Newbie tag. And I figured that's what I was going to do today for you guys, because I am still definitely a newbie. I have uploaded a few videos by now, and I figured it would be fun to do it because it's a fun way to get to know other booktubers who are starting out as well. And I know that I'm definitely going to be binge watching a bunch of them over the next few days, just to get to know as many new booktubers as possible. Maybe start support each other. So let's get started. Why did you start this channel? Something that some of you may not know is that I already technically have another channel called Wolf Creek City, where I used to edit videos with horse clips, and then I did a bunch of effects and coloring and just fun little videos to do. And I've kind of stopped doing them recently because I just don't really have time, because they take a lot of time and effort and creativity, and obviously these do too, but in a completely different way. And I'd always been tempted to start a channel where I was the one sitting in front of the camera, but I just never knew what kind of content I would create. I never knew what I could put out there, what I would be proud of, something where I would keep having new ideas, because I kept having little ideas of what I could do now and again, but I never had a general idea like booktube, where it's pretty obvious if you're running low on ideas. You can take inspiration from other people because you have a kind of an overall concrete thing that everybody talks about, and that is books, as I have behind me here. And I discovered booktube about almost 3 months ago now, and I became obsessed with it. And when I say discovered, I mean that I already knew it existed, but I wasn't, I didn't follow anybody, I didn't watch them per se. I didn't fully know how big the community was or anything. And then I started thinking I'm a huge bookworm and I love to read, and I figured I have a bunch of friends who read books as well, some that read the same as me, and a lot of people who don't read the same as me, and I never have anyone to talk to about the books that I read. So that is why I figured, you know what? A booktube channel is a good way to talk about the books that you've read and get it across to somebody else, so you can discuss it. And that is one of the reasons why I started this channel, because I really need somebody to talk to about all the books that I read, because not very many of my friends, they read the same things as me. They read the Hunger Games or the Harry Potter books, a few of them, maybe John Green books, but the rest of them I didn't even know existed because nobody that I know reads them, really. So that's why I started this channel. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to booktube? I was thinking about this one a lot because I wasn't quite sure what unique thing I could bring onto here. Something new that I could bring onto here is kind of language diversity, because I'm from Denmark, and I guess obviously there's a lot of diversity already when it comes to language and everything else, but I really figured that I don't know any Danish booktubers. I haven't heard about any, I don't know any, and if they do booktube, it's most likely in Danish, so nobody really can understand what they're talking about except if you're from Denmark. Maybe some of the other Scandinavian countries too, but that's it. So definitely language-wise, I can bring some diversity to it, and when it comes to something unique I can bring to booktube, I'm not quite sure. I was thinking a lot about this. I guess it would be take advantage of the fact that I'm from Denmark and use that for inspiration for some videos. I guess something unique to every channel is obviously the personality you bring onto here, the way you present books, the way you talk about them, because nobody talks about things the same way. There's always going to be a difference in the things you like and everything. So I guess that's my answer. What are you most excited for about this new channel? I'm excited to watch my channel grow. It does not matter how big or small that is, or how much that is. That part doesn't really matter to me. And I'm also just excited because being a booktuber means that you're kind of forced and thrown into this world of books where you have to read a lot of books in order to keep your channel going. I can't just talk about the books I have on my shelf for years to come. I mean, maybe I could, but it wouldn't be very interesting towards the end. It would get very boring. And I don't mind being forced into this. I really want to be forced into this. That's one of the things I'm really excited about this channel for. Like, I can read books that I maybe wouldn't have read otherwise, and just being thrown out there. Why do you love reading? I guess my answer to this question is going to be pretty similar to a lot of people. You get to experience an adventure or story and different characters to something that you see in real life, and it's kind of like a very different way of experiencing like a TV show or a movie, because you have to picture everything in your head and you have to get into this whole story and you have to be invested in it. And it's a little bit harder to get invested sometimes in books because they're slow starters, but then the story gets really good. Sometimes people will give up early, whereas with a TV show or movie it's a little bit quicker. But you can really become invested in a story, and you can learn a lot of things about a whole world that doesn't exist. Same thing with the Harry Potter books. J.K. Rowling has created this world and so many details of it that people keep being like, you know what, just keep it coming, because people are interested in actually knowing these things. And that's one of the things I find amazing about books, and that's one of the reasons why I love reading. What book or series got you into reading? I don't think this one comes as much as a surprise to people, especially if you look at my bookshelf where I have the series both in Danish and in English. I think it's pretty obvious to say that the series that got me into reading was Harry Potter, and well, by J.K. Rowling. So in Danish it's called Harry Potter og de vise sten, because my dad read them to me when I was little while growing up, and I loved the story. And then eventually when I could read by myself, I started reading them again, and eventually I got them in English, and I started reading them only in English after that. So that's the series that got me into reading. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? For this one, I was kind of thinking about it again. I wasn't quite sure what I would ask my favorite booktubers, so I kind of narrowed it down to two main ones, because those are the most intriguing to me to hear from other people. The first one is, how the heck do you stay motivated? If, for example, you make a video that you're really proud of and then people don't watch it, for example, or if you've been growing for a while and then it kind of stops, and it's not because you want to be big-headed, but obviously you can lose a bit of motivation from that, or if it takes a long time before your channel grows, anything like that. Like, how do you stay motivated while being a booktuber? So I guess that's my first question, and I guess my second question would be, did you start a YouTube channel in hopes of becoming a booktuber, or did you start it for a different reason? Like, what was the original intention of your channel? Was it to become a booktuber, or was it to do something completely else and then you discovered Booktube and then you went that direction? What challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel would be the hardest to overcome? I guess the biggest challenge for me would be to stay motivated and to, you know, feel like what I'm doing is good enough, and feeling proud of the videos that I'm creating, and feeling like I'm, you know, doing a good job, because that is one of the things I always have the hardest time doing. Several times already, even though I haven't done that many videos, I have been scared that I should quit Booktube already, because I was scared that what I'd created wasn't good enough, or that my editing wasn't good enough, or all these little things. So it's already hitting me now, but so far I've fought through it, and I'm probably gonna keep fighting through it. I hope. Anyways, we'll see, but I'm pretty sure I will. When did you start reading? So I kind of interpreted this question in two ways. Technically, I started reading already before I started school in the 0th grade. That's something we have in Denmark. And I guess when I started reading properly by myself a lot more was when I was 10, 11, because that's when I came back from America, when I was 11. And from there I started reading way more and a lot more, mainly Harry Potter, but I'm still reading. Another series that kind of kept me reading other books, and actually it isn't Harry Potter, was the Thoroughbred series. This is obviously the Danish version. I own a few of the books, and I'm going to try get them in English too, because I just loved them when I was a kid. So I read these aside from Harry Potter and a few other books as well. Where do you read? So technically I only have 3 places where I read. I can read other places too, but the main 3 places where I read, the number 1 is on the train to and from university. Currently I still live at home. I'm moving out soon, hoping. But currently I live over an hour and a half away from university, and over half an hour of that is on the train. So I sit in the quiet zone of the train and then I sit and read there. That is one of the main places that I read, because why waste that and just sit and do nothing for half an hour instead when you can read a book. And the second place where I read a lot is in the living room. That is only if I'm home alone, because when there's too much noise, I can't read in the living room, obviously, or when my parents are home. And the third place where I read a lot is in my bed. What kind of books do you like to read? I guess the main genre I like is YA, because I've noticed that a lot of the books that other booktubers have talked about where I've been like, I want to read that, that's been YA. A lot of the books that I read last year, they were YA, and I enjoyed them. And another one is obviously fantasy, because anything that's the same genre as Harry Potter, I love that. So that was all for today's video. I really hope you'll give it a little like. Maybe you will give it a comment where you can answer one or more of the questions, or you can do a video yourself answering these questions. And I hope you'll subscribe, because I'm learning. I'm slowly learning, and I have an idea for this channel, and I hope you will join me on my little booktube journey to see where it's headed. So that was all for today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!